How's it going, everyone? Well, as you can see in front of me today, I happen to have a long gun. Been using this one over the past hunting season now. It is a Steyr THB Pro Hunter in 308. And there's a few options that are done to this one over the stock standard one, and I'll explain what those are. It's more of how you want to order the rifle and barrel caliber and twist rate. I would like to start off in the video by saying thank you to a few people for making this video happen. First and foremost, to Steyr Arms. They were nice enough. They sent me this rifle in all the specifics that I wanted it to be in, and also to Andy's Leather, who supplied me with a rifle sling for this rifle and another one during testing. So the particular sling that I was using from Andy's Leather to start off with is his Rodizio leather sling. These slings are 100% US leather. They're a real thick and high quality. These are not your cheap, inexpensive, thin saddle leather. I mean, this is the real thick, you're durable, keep this thing forever. Used it on this rifle, had no issues. With his sling system, the way it's set up, if you're not familiar, it is not a multiple pinned, it's just a two end goes on your rifle. The real slick thing about it is this adjustment clasp. It's just a spur, so you can have any type of length on your rifle for over the shoulder, storing, setting away in a truck, or just putting away for the season. Excuse me. It's all steel, which is real nice. All his slings are hand cut, dyed, and done. All of his hardware sits in real nice and has its flat blade along with T-bolt or a T-lock screw, and is all lockable inside, so you can actually adjust your length if you don't want to use a clasp, if you just want to use this as a traditional 2-point. What makes his sling really slick for a hunting rifle is this Rodizio style sling. Once it's on your rifle with this front enlarged loop, you can actually stick your arm through it and lock your forearm, or the backside of your bicep, into this rear channel. And with this being on the front of your gun, you can actually give yourself a more stable shooting platform for those that don't use bipods in the woods, or if you can't prep off a tree or a backpack. Just for free float, you're walking through the woods, ambush deer hunting, works really well for that. It was more designed for like your African style hunters that just don't have anything to lean up to. I have no issues out of his slings. I really enjoy them, and I'm hoping to put this on my next rifle. So I'd like to say thank you, Andy, for sending this to me. It worked beautifully. Getting into the rifle for Steyr, like I said, they sent this rifle to me. It did not come with this optic. I put it on there. They just sent me the rifle. I did ask for the long barrel, which is 26 inches. I also wanted to make sure that it was in the caliber that I wanted with the rifle twist, which this particular one is 308 with a 1 in 10 right hand twist. But getting back into the rifle, I'm going to start off. This is a magazine fed rifle. It has a detachable polymer magazine. It holds 4 rounds. These mags are actually the same. They use the same style mag for the short action. This mag is actually marked in 243, 260 Remington, 7mm and 7mm .08 Remington, 308 and 338 Federal. So if you're looking for a mag, this one magazine will fit all those calibers for your Pro Hunter, your Hunter, or your THB. This particular rifle is the latest version of the SG69 series of a rifle, which were the original Steyr hunting rifles from the late 60s and early 70s. This is just its most recent design and lineage. On these particular rifles, this one here being a THB, which stands for a Tactical Heavy Barrel, this is designed for your long-range entry-level shooter, your medium to long-range deer hunting rifle, or it can be configured for a counter sniper rifle for like a police department. Not going so far into it being a full-out tactical rifle. There's some other options which I'll tell you about towards the end of the video, which you can get into and order with this rifle, or just order as an accessory. The rifle itself comes in at about 11.5 to 12 pounds, depending on what optic you're going to go run with it. It is a very heavy rifle. The stock is 100% polymer. Your action and your barrel are all bedded into the furniture. It is not a loose bedding. I will try to get this up for you. The bedding for the action is extremely tight in the back, and the contour for your forearm to your barrel is very tight. You can barely get your fingernail between the barrel. You could probably run a sheet of paper, but you would never get a cloth or anything down between the bedding action. You can, I'm not going to remove the barrel and the action assembly from the furniture. I will tell you though that all inside your furniture has a Z formation or a crosshatch bracing all the way through up to the point of the breech for your action. So I mean, the front of this is extremely durable. It's actually designed and set up. You could actually add a bipod to it if you like. It does come with two swivel stud mounts, one in the front, and since my table's not big enough, I will in a minute flip it around and show you the one that's in the back. Standard positions, it just comes with a 2-point. Getting into the box mag feature on this one, it actually has a 2-position mag. The first one, and hopefully you'll be able to get to see this, the mag does stick out the bottom, and this is designed for over the bolt feeding or over the mag feeding. If you leave the mag in the first click position, with the magazine being full, you can still operate your bolt without stripping a cartridge, and you could hand load one at a time. Then you can actually set the mag and start stripping rounds from your magazine if needed. It does come factory with a 20 MOA Picatinny rail. This particular series of rifle comes with what Steyr calls an SBS system, SBS, in case if y'all didn't get my accent and I screwed it up. What that stands for is Steyr, it's a safe bolt system. Steyr came up with this for the hunter, so you did not have to carry without a round in the chamber. You can actually chamber your rifle. I'll operate the bolt to show you. You can chamber and lock your bolt down, and in the back side, behind the trigger well, on the top side of the rifle, you're going to see there's a rotating dial. There is a 3-position dial. The very first position actually has a little winglet that pops up. When this is engaged, this is on the most safe feature, or the safe lockout. Your bolt cannot be operated, or your trigger. It totally locks your bolt handle down, the bolt carrier, the whole bolt assembly, everything is locked forward internally, and it actually disengages the firing pin and puts a block in front of it, so you can carry, walk around over your shoulder without the worry of the rifle going off. The second position for this system is once you depress, now granted I am doing this left-handed, so I'm using my pointer finger. Once you depress this winglet and rotate forward, you will just see the white dot. At that time, your trigger is still inert. It will not function. It is locked out, but you can operate your bolt to strip rounds or load one, but it is still safe, and the firing pin is still locked out for safe carry. but with the bolt being able to be moved, if you were to bump it, or drop your rifle, your bolt would still operate if it was to get hung on something. Your third position is your fire, which is designated by a red dot in the back. At that time, your rifle is live and good to go. If you wish to remove your bolt, you need to go to the number 2 safety position and unlock your bolt by simply pulling it up, and then rotate it to the number 1 safety position. The wing tap will come up. At this point, your bolt is removable, and there you are. You do not need to depress your trigger. There are no side lugs or anything or any buttons to push. To reassemble, all you need to do is stick it back in, stick it and lock it, and then rotate forward, and you're good to go. You can operate your bolt system, and it is locked back in. Into the safety position, I'm hoping it will show up. Here where your bolt would lay into the flat against the furniture, you will actually see a little mechanical lock that moves. That is what is the safe system that is locking the bolt forward and down, and also disengaging your firing pin and locking out your trigger. Getting into the bottom of your rifle, into your trigger system, it is adjustable with an Allen key. There's 2 different Allen keys that are needed. They do not come with the rifle. You will have to use your own. The rear one being for your trigger weight, and your front one being for your length of pull. The manual will explain on how to set this up and adjust it accordingly. Into your bolt and your full carrier, this is a one-piece bolt design. Your rear to access your firing pin does rotate. This is on a cam system. The bolt itself is sand cut or dirt cut with this channel and groove for if you work in bad weather conditions or you get into the mud. Your extractor is set up here in the front with your shell casing plunger. This is a double 2-bolt design. So on the inside of the breech, instead of it being a 2-lug and interlocking, this actually slides in and works in theory technically as a 4-bolt, but it's just a 2-bolt in vertical form. So it actually goes through, and there are 2 sets of double locking lugs for the breech face. So you will have no issue of getting a positive sealed breech for accurate shooting. This bolt system and this rifle is on the push design. It is not a Mauser with an outside extractor or anything. This is just a push feed, which is your most standard for a bolt action rifle. It functions extremely well. If you wish to remove and check your firing pin, the setup for that, on the top side of your bolt, on the top left where the handle comes out of the bolt, there is a decompression spring-loaded pin. That is what you'll need to operate to cam over the lock to remove your firing pin. You'll need to rotate it 1 click clockwise. You'll hear it disengage, and then with a slight pull, it will come out. This rear housing is made of metal and polymer. It is bonded all together, but it is now all a 1-piece. This is not a 2-piece. It's milled and hot pressed all together. Your firing pin, spring assembly, and cam is all here and is held together with a C-clip. And this is how the rear of your safety and the bolt style works on the cam. This is what you're actually turning against on the lockup. And for cleaning, all you'll need to do is just spray some oil and possibly run a swab inside and reverse blow, and that's all you're going to need. For reassembly, inside there are a set of lugs that is set up for the cam. You need to find to the right. Reinsert the rear, push down on the spring-loaded clip, and then rotate one click counterclockwise. This will be very difficult because you're working against the cam. You'll hear the one click, and then you can reassemble your bolt. Getting into the action, this is a short action 308. They do come in multiple calibers, like I discussed in the beginning of the video. This rifle does come in 6.5 Creedmoor now, and 308, 300 Winchester. That's into the series of this action. The barrel itself is a Steyr cold hammer forged barrel. It is extremely accurate, and one of the very nice things with this rifle is Steyr's guarantee that out of the box, your rifle will shoot 1 minute of angle. And with that being discussed, inside your box, you will actually receive one of these shooter cards. This shooter card is a print off of the digital computer that they use at Steyr for their sighting system. It has your serial number, caliber, the ammo that they use, the grain, and your technician that did the shooting for it. Their guarantee is their rifle will shoot 1 minute of angle at 100 meters, or they'll buy it back. That's been Steyr's guarantee for a number of years. So much so that I'd almost say since they started making rifles. That's one of the very nice things. You don't have to worry about your rifle not shooting what it's supposed to. With this here, their guarantee card is also just a typical customer survey asking why you bought the rifle and some personal information that they would like to collect from you. You can mail this back to Steyr Austria or Steyr USA. That'll handle all of your warranty information and also registers your rifle. With the rifle, you will receive two sling clips. These are the very small sling clips. Sorry guys. These are 1 inch. I would recommend to see about upgrading to 1.5 inches or 1 7/8. If not, you will need to purchase a set. Most slings in the 1 inch form, with the weight of this rifle and for what you're going to be using it for, the 1 inch sling studs are not applicable to a nice sling like the one that I showed you earlier in the video, this sling being 1.25 inches. Also, with your rifle, you will receive a generic owner's manual. This gets into your Steyr Classic, your Classic Light, your Pro Hunter, and the Pro Varmint rifle. And this one being the THB. This is just the older manual, but it covers all of these rifles. It is in English and Dutch. It has all your breakdown, your information, your safety. I'm trying to think of anything else that is in here. It will also explain on how to operate the SBS system for more detail. And it also explains on how to adjust the trigger weight and then the length of pull. It goes into what tools you will need, which are just 2 Allen keys, just small ones. It also talks about your magazine setup for single and 2-stage drop. Shows you also on removing your bolt, how to remove your action from the furniture, and some torque specs for optics. It is all coated in a Manox coating, which is for those that aren't familiar, the Manox is Steyr's version of like a salt bath nitrite coating, which when all these guns are built, they're totally stripped down to their raw form, heated, all the oils are pulled out of them, and then they're stuck into a vacuum chamber that applies this coating. So the coating actually goes all the way through the metal, keeps it from rusting and getting your skin oil and everything on the rifle. The finish on these things are very, very tough. Their pistols are done in the same, and their rifles are all done the exact same way. They do the same coating on their military rifles as they do for the civilian market. For every country, all of the coating is exactly the same. So you're getting the same quality for military to law enforcement to civilian market to your very expensive hunting rifles. Some of the very, very fancy Mannlicher style hunting rifles. Well, in this 308, I did do some testing. I took this gun in Tennessee and Texas, shot all the way out to 300 yards. I had no issue in testing and shooting federal ammunition, Winchester ammunition, and then some hand loads. Shot everything from 150 grain full metal jackets to 168 grain federal gold metal jackets, and some custom hand loads of 170 grain in full metal jacket boat tail hollow points, or the hollow tips, excuse me. Had no issue. The recoil in the rifle is pretty good. It is a 308, so it does have some kick. Your trigger pull on this particular rifle, I did not adjust it. It is set up right around 2.8 pounds, and it is extremely, extremely crisp. I thought about adjusting the length of pull, but I actually decided not to. There'll be some video of me shooting this rifle. I'll show you some targets that I shot, everything from 50 yards out to the 300. Had no problem in doing. quarter size groups, putting a few times, putting rounds inside of the same hole or extremely close that you almost couldn't tell that you'd hit the target. But getting into the trigger system here, I will show you. We'll pull the magazine out and operate the bolt to show you that there's nothing inside. The trigger take-up itself does have some play, but you can actually feel it touch the wall and takes absolutely no pressure to pull the trigger. That is one thing when I was looking for a bolt action deer rifle, was just the action wanted to be smooth, but the actual trigger itself. In the video, there is a few times I actually tried to see if I could surprise myself in shooting or to make it jump. And literally, you can breathe on this or just take the wrong breath and pull the trigger. Works extremely well. There's no grit or grime. The glass wall, I would say this gets into your high end, or actually better than some of the very, very nice 1911s when someone wants to explain what a proper trigger is supposed to be. But again, you can see that the wall, the take-up, is probably a 1/16 of an inch. As soon as it touches, you'll feel it, and it's there. The actual depress to pull is less than a 1/16. It's right there on a heartbeat. Once you take it up, you're sighted, you're going to take the shot. And like I said, that's a factory trigger. I did nothing to it out of the box. Well, I hope that answers your questions or gives you some insight to this particular rifle. I will have to say, I mean, I've done some other reviews on Steyr products, and you know, if you watch my channel, you do see that I get in depth on some. And to be honest, I feel like I didn't go far enough into it, but it's a bolt action rifle. It is designed as a deer rifle. It fits, it works extremely well. I let some other people try it and shoot it to see how they liked it, to get some feedback and some insight to what they were thinking with it. The only two complaints I had on the rifle, some people thought it was a little heavy. I personally don't. I prefer a good heavy deer rifle. I don't want something very light to have to contend with and just taking and absorbing on the recoil into my own shoulder. With that being said, this rifle does have an adjustable length of pull on the butt plate of the stock. It has an adjustable length of pull that can be adjusted by removing the end rubber butt plate. These are interchangeable to a lighter, softer one or to this more heavier one. If you wish to adjust your length of pull, all you need to do is remove one of these rear combs to shorten it or add an additional one to lengthen it. To reinstall your butt plate, it is just a simple rubber grommet. It goes over the end, and if I can do this one-handed, it just seats over the end of the rifle. And the rubber shoulder pad on it, they do sell some aftermarket or accessory ones for this that are a little bit softer. I would have to say the factory one is a little stiff, and after 100 rounds or so, it started getting and making my shoulder sore, but I also hadn't been shooting 308 in a while. But I probably would, if I was going to buy this rifle, I would probably see about getting the softer recoil pad. Going into the in-depth on this, guys, if you're looking for a entry-level long-range rifle, this is a very good platform to start with. The price point, where you're at with it, You can deer hunt if you don't want a distance shoot, or if you want to take this action and stick it into a different stock setup, move on into an aluminum chassis. You won't be disappointed in your action. Your barrel, you're not going to shoot the barrel out of this anytime soon. These rifles are meant to be shot for a number of years. I don't have a specific round count, but talking to one of the technicians, when I looked at this rifle, he said he would be surprised if he ever saw one of these come back with the barrel shot out anytime soon. Somebody would seriously more have to get into the neglect world of intentionally trying to damage a rifle to hurt one of their barrels. So that made me feel really good with it. Some of the options that you can actually get from Steyr with this is they do sell a McMillan style stock that has an adjustable cheek rest, length of pull, and comes with a Picatinny rail that is approximately 3 to 4 inches. Here in front of the front swivel, it replaces a swivel stud and sits about 3 inches behind. That stock is available through Steyr. They also sell a tactical rail system, which gives you a 3-position 1913 Picatinny rail, and the runs for approximately 6 inches from the nose of the stock backwards. Those are set up for someone that wants to run night vision or a heat vision style scope, the infrared, or needs to just run an extreme long range optic, and they want the scope rings to be stretched out a lot further for eye relief. Particular model is a threaded barrel. Your threaded end cap protector is a 5/8 by 24 thread. On this one here, it is actually knurled all on the outside in a light checkering for a extra dexterity and tactile grip in case if your hands get wet or if you're in gloves and you really can't feel it, you can press on it and it'll grab a hold to unseat it from the end of the barrel. But that is into the rifle. I hope I covered enough of it. If there's something that you need to know, let me know in the description. I will try to answer it as best as possible. Well, I hope you like the review and some of the technical data on this rifle, and hopefully we can do some more in the future.